Greetings once again, fellow Arkenforge Mapsmiths. This is James Smith with Knights of the Smith Dinner Table here for another Tips and Tricks video. This will be the last Tips and Tricks video prior to 0.3. Just wanted to come back and kind of touch up on some of the extra stuff that they added in the past past few weeks, more than a couple of weeks. Ever since the latest few patches have come out, fixing the last of the bugs, last of the major bugs actually. There's still a few minor bugs here and there, but we can live with minor bugs. They'll all get patched down the line. Anyway, they've released some new stuff to go with this, with new tools and everything to go with the cartographer. So why don't we hop right on in? One of the first things that he added was the ability to manipulate tiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw down some tiles real quick. And this is actually one of my favorite tile sets, nice mossy brick flooring. So you can grab hold of it. You can, just like before, we could change the transparency down here with the slider. You can now change the opacity up here like you can with objects, make it a little less visible, so if you want to put it over top of something. But let's go ahead and take that back up. That's just putting it on the menu wheel there. You can, of course, change the tint, get all kinds of nice different colors to go with it. The saturation, increase or decrease the amount of color that's coming through. As you can see, I mean, it can get a little crazy there. My personal favorite, though, and this is great for when you're working with old things, and most of us who play fantasy games, we have lots of ruins and things like that that the party's going to be going through. So you can adjust the brightness. Now, right now, when you click the brightness, sometimes it'll jump way up like that. Kind of hurts the eyes. Excuse me. Anyway, what I like to do is I like to bring the bring the brightness down. Give it a more weathered, dirty look. That's one of the primary things that you can do there. You can't flip it or anything like that with the mirror options yet. Not sure if that's going to be a feature. If not, not a big deal. If so, it'll be kind of a cool little thing to be able to flip it around back and forth. But the other thing that they've added is this button here. Just like all of the objects, like I've said in the previous videos, you place an object, unless it's something you're going to move, lock it. The beauty of locking it is I'm clicking, clicking, clicking. I'm not accidentally clicking on this. And that's really important for, oh no, I don't want to override that. So that is really important for, let's just name this tester. We'll go back to here, back to bricks. Do that again. Okay, so lock it in place. There we go. Have it the color that you want. You can modify all of that. But, so when you save, and you got this menu up, I've seen both in the Discord and on the Facebook, people have said something about, you click yes here, and it automatically selects whatever's underneath. Usually tile, sometimes walls, sometimes an object that you haven't locked down. That's why it's important to lock down stuff that you need locked down, with the exception being doors, because you're going to want to be able to open and close those, and secret walls. Now, to cover the secret walls thing, let's switch up here to repeatables. We're going to choose a wall. We'll go with, that's one from my pack. Let's go with the official brick wall. So, let me change my grid so you can see the wall a little better. So, say you got your walls here. Now say that like they come in and they come down from above. Let's say they climb down a ladder or something. You got a secret room hiding off of this. So you got all this. You can, just like the floors, lock all of this. Now if you're going to place a secret door or anything, make sure you leave the gap for it. However, the other nice thing is, and this I'll explain here in a minute, we can control the shadows for this now. But we'll come back to that in just a minute. Anyway, lock the walls. Once again, you can't click on them. Now the only time you don't really want to lock a wall is when you're putting a secret door. Now, this is where it gets fun. So if you notice, when I overlapped it a little bit, the shadows got darker. You can actually hide that by grabbing this, click on it, and that actually reduces the amount of extra shadow you have where it's overlapping, because the overlap isn't quite as big. We could go back unlock these walls, and then do the same thing here. Make sure you do that up there, but it's going to be a little bit of a pain. And do it down here. And while the inside, if they're not going to see the outside, not a big deal, but the inside does not look like anything is amiss. So we lock those back. We get our secret wall. Now this is where it's going to shine, and what I'm going to do is I am going to activate my second screen for you guys. And for those of you who have been having problems with it, I'm going to take you through the layout real quick. What you're going to do until we get everything fixed later on here in 0.3 after it comes out with the scenario is you can control this player screen from the cartographer. Come into scenario like this, click on player's map, then you go back over here to home, open back up the cartographer, and then you've got the player's map controls. And let me show you how it's going to work. So as you can see, you can't see my cursor or anything because I'm using it on the Dungeon Master screen. But looking over, and for me I'm looking to the right to look at the screen, you can see the player section moving around. Now, back on my DM screen, I'm selecting that section of wall I didn't lock down. Remember that lighting thing I showed you? So what you can do is you go back, you click on hide from players, it disappears, and right here you have a secret wall that opens up into another room. Great way to do secret walls. When you unhide it, it comes back. The really nice thing is, and this was a problem when they first brought out the hide from players stuff, used to be it would leave the shadow there. Now, when you hide it, the shadow goes away, it no longer blocks light. Beautiful little feature to add secret walls. All right, I'm going to shut that off. Let me go back to the DM's view. And sorry, you're seeing the background stuff there, me playing with OBS and everything. Anyway, so we're back to the DM's view. I saw a question here just recently about the fog of war. So when you activate the fog of war on our screen, kind of fades out like this, kind of puts this hollow or shadowy effect over it. And when you go into scenarios, you look at the player's map, same thing, switch to the DM's map, still the same thing, very shadowy. Now, for those of you who have not yet used this in your games, this is where the cartographer really shines. Up here is your fog of war tools. You got your checkbox, turn it on and off. As you can see, it lights up, turns off. You got your eraser, and what I normally do is I always reset it to 1 square when we're playing. When you're erasing with the 1 square and the square tool, you got a square room. I highly recommend against using the circular brush for the square room. But you can just drag it holding control, much like I've said many times before in my other videos, and you can get your nice clean outline. So, and you can clear out the fog of war that way. Need to put it back, switch tools to the brush, and we don't have to be as neat because I'm just filling it back in. So for those of you who haven't used it in your games yet, I'm going to switch your view again back over to the player side of things. So as you look, all through here it's nice and dark. Now, that's completely different. This is the player's view. This is what the players see on their screen, whether you have it mounted up on the wall, down on a table, what have you. So if you watch as I go to clear it, magically on the player's view, it all starts to clear out, which is nice. So that's why when you're looking at it, no matter whether or not you click on the toggle the DM player view, it's always going to be just shadowed over, kind of a film over top of it. So that way you know that that fog of war is there. But on the player's view, as you can see, everything outside of the box still can't see unless I come back in with the eraser. And if you look on the player's view, if you're looking, because sometimes you can't see everything on here because of the shade of the thing. Sometimes you'll miss some fog of war, especially with the round brush. But you can then go over and you can see it happening. by looking at their screen and see that you got everything. Because sometimes, like when you go to the round brush, say there was a passage off in this direction, I go like this, and then I'm coming up and I miss. Now on the player screen, that is very obvious. On the DM screen, let me switch things back up for you again. It's not so obvious here, especially when you're in the middle of the game. So being able to see the player screen is going to be helpful for you, especially with Fog of War. All right. Next up is we got the shadows. Making cave walls. I've gotten a lot of compliments on my cave walls when I'm doing this stuff. Mainly because, let me shut off the Fog of War. It looks really nice when it's really well done. I think I've got a map in my main folder that has it. Let me check this one. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so we've got here, for those of you who don't know what this adventure is, this is from the Wrath of the Righteous adventure path for Pathfinder. This is one of the little places that you can go to in the first adventure, actually four of the little places, little encounter zones that you go to as you're making your way through a ruined city. If we go down below, you can see all of this very nicely filled in sections here. Now, this is a little tedious to do, but for the appearance of the map, if you're as OCD as I am, it's well worth the time you spent, and as you do it more often, you get better at it. It took me like 5 minutes to fill all of this in, and I know it's a sizable portion of the map. So let's go back to the tester, and I'll show you how I did that. So I'm going to come down here where I haven't worked. Much like in my wall video, you're going to go down here to the slider for the repeatables. And like I told you in that video, the eye fills up one square. We're going to go to stone walls. Oh, excuse me. And when you get there, so actually first, let's do this. We're going to lay out our outline. So like I always outline my playing area. As you can see, we have shadows with the color walls. Lock these in place. The other thing you can do now with the walls is multi-select them. Hold down Control, click on each wall. You can lock them all at once. And then, say we got a little room in there. Like, we can do this. Come down to this, to this. And then it runs off. All right, so before, whoops. Let's do, then the wall runs off. So with these, we're going to lock all these walls down so that way I can't accidentally select them later. Now, with these two, it looks kind of bad that it's poking out over top of my barrier, or my edge of map wall. What you do here is, just like with objects, move it to the bottom, and it hides it nicely underneath. Excuse me, still getting over a cold. Then you come back, you lock them. And then say this is underground in a nice dark cave. What you do is you come back through. Now the walls that actually the players will interact with, leave the shadows alone, because the shadows actually look really nice, especially up on your screens. But for all the others, come back through, and this is a fairly small section, so it's real quick and easy to fill in. All right, so this looks nice and everything, but right now, one of the things that's going on, and you can't see this, and if you're running on a lower end machine, this is definitely a little thing that you need to pay attention to. If you're running on a faster machine, you can ignore it, but just for sake of getting it done, doing it right, I always recommend this. So you click on all the walls that you just placed to fill in. Then you're going to go to shadow. You can leave toggle shadows up. All it's doing is it puts the barrier line through. It creates the blocking portion. However, the drop shadows, you get rid of it. And while you can't see it as much on this, if I were to go back to unlock these, we're actually going to take these out. and do smaller walls now. So we'll keep with that. We're going to switch back to your standard size wall. We're going to go like that. Okay, so if, oh, these won't affect it, but these will. If the shadows were on, and let me zoom in so you can see it a little better here. You turn the shadows on, see all the extra shadows that appeared. It got real dark. That's creating a lot of extra rendering that we don't really need, so you shut them off. It gives you the nice open, or the nice shadows for the correct wall size. Then we go back, and we're going to lock it all. And then grab these walls. We're going to send them to the bottom. Now, right now, this is completely up to you. Notice how it goes down and it kind of hides underneath the rock that I put in place already. You can leave it like that. It doesn't look bad. It actually looks pretty good. Or you just click on the move up a layer until, oh, it looks like it's going to come up over top of my, well, let's just move it to the wall or move it to the top. You can keep clicking up until it comes up above. And when you got something like this, you can come back here, move it to the top, come back, and then lock it again. But that's the quick and dirty on how to do the filling. Just like before, when you're using the big section, the big freeform to fill with, you'll notice you get these nice little swirls. But just like over there, you can toggle it off, and it's a nice fill. I typically don't recommend, if you're going to do fill work with the freeform brush, slide it down to where it's about equal with the L in polygon. Nathan, that could really use percentages. Just saying, man. But anyway, as you can see, this looks a little nicer. And even when you do the swirls are not as obvious unless you sit there and you do this. Then it becomes obvious, but usually it's not pretty obvious. You can block that out. And you got a nice round section that as you zoom in, yeah, this becomes real obvious as you zoom in. But around the edges, it still looks really nice. Whenever you fill in like this with the freeform brush, make sure that you always send it to the bottom because that'll hide a lot of sins that you make. And you don't have to be perfect, but I tend to be OCD and I try to go for the best look possible when I'm making these. All right, well, other than that, those are the big major things I wanted to cover. One of the other new features that he's recently added is setting a start point. So let me bring up Citadel Dresden. This is a map that I'm still currently working on. So the center of the map is actually way the heck up here. And if we didn't have the set start point, it would load all the way up here every time. However, I put my start point there, as you can see. And so whenever I load the map, it doesn't matter where I was last, it'll jump to the start point. Oh, excuse me. And that's a nice little thing. And of course, I've got the other bookmark there, so that way when I'm ready, so if I come back, zoom in. So if I come back, load it again, puts us right back at the start point. Need my bookmarks, go up to the main gates. Real quick, real easy. Really nice tool to have, especially when you're using large maps. Because from here to here is 25 of these little squares. So when you're making huge maps like this, definitely good to have your bookmarks to move around, especially your start point. Other than that, I don't plan on covering audio anytime soon, primarily because I haven't used it a lot yet, and I will. I've been using it more and more in my games, so it's primarily just a, hey, choose what music you want. Say, for instance, camp, daytime, You get it going. There's the ambience. There's the music. Pretty easy to use. If you guys want me to go through, cover that more, just drop a note down in the comments below. Other than that, I'm going to call it for the day. Thanks once again for watching. And if you like what I'm doing here, make sure you click like down below. Also click subscribe. You'll also get notes whenever I live stream. I usually live stream every once in a while. I'm going to try and start live streaming my mapping more often. But if you subscribe, you'll get a notification. You can see what I'm working on. Usually when I'm doing the live stream, I will be in the Arkenforge Discord voice channel. So if you want to pop in, say hi, chat for a little bit, just be reminded that you'll be on the stream. They'll be able to hear everything. But keep it clean, keep it fun, and that's it. I'm going to sign out for now. Hope everybody enjoys the video, and like I said, like and subscribe down below.